Sound check 1 2. There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. The Secretary will read the order.
Debate on vote number 14, Statistics South Africa Appropriation Bill.
I now call upon the Honourable the Minister in the Presidency, who will introduce the vote.
Honourable House Chairperson, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, Honourable Telisam Kweba, Deputy Ministers in the Presidency, Honourable Ken Morolong and Honourable Nongeba Mhlauli, Honourable Members of the Portfolio Committee on Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, the Statistician General, Mr. Senga Maluleke and his team from Stats SA, members of the South African Statistics Council under the leadership of Dr. Nompumelelo Nzimande, fellow South Africans. It is my honor to present the Budget Vote 14 for the outer year of the 2019-2024 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework, as we conclude work started in the 6th administration and consolidate a program for the 7th administration under a government of national unity. I share this occasion with a new and young Deputy Minister, Honourable Nongeba Mhlauli, which is a demonstration of continuity, change, and intergenerational leadership, living together in perfect harmony, as Steve Wonder and Paul McCartney sang. It is also an honor to make this presentation in the year in which we are reflecting on 30 years of democracy, partnership, and growth in the life of a nation that remains engaged in overcoming the impact of centuries of colonialism and decades of apartheid exclusionary rule. It was the work of Statistics South Africa that gave this country and the world a snapshot of the progress this country has made and the challenges which remain since 1994 through the census 2022 results. As we commence with the 7th administration and the next 30 years of our freedom, it will be important to address the challenges that still continue to confront us with greater performance and momentum. Guesswork and assumptions have no place in this task at hand. Instead, it is statistical data and information that will give us insights into the nation's needs and achievements and will help us monitor and evaluate the effectiveness and outcomes of government policies and programs. For us, it is fundamental to declare that data drives development. Therefore, understanding and managing the data ecosystem is crucial for the country to harness the full potential of data, make informed decisions, and adapt to evolving business landscapes. This will be achieved through collaboration, partnerships, and platforms. Stats SA must continue to lead in the South African data ecosystem to ensure that the data gap is closed. Honourable House Chairperson, those of us who have followed Stats SA products releases will agree with me that statistical data is indicating that our economy is 3 times larger and many times more inclusive and diversified than it was 30 years ago. Millions of citizens have been lifted out of poverty. Employment has more than doubled. Despite this progress, millions remain unemployed, in particular the youth who are caught in structural unemployment, where the qualifications they possess are not relevant for the job market nor self-employment. For South Africa to reach its developmental goals as espoused in the National Development Plan, or the NDP, there is a need to use data and statistical information to not only improve the performance of government, but all of society. Therefore, there cannot be a spectator sport for the nation. We are all in this together, as cast of a high school musical has once sang. As a government that considers itself to be located within our communities and society, we will work with all sectors to secure the growth, security, and prosperity all of us wish to enjoy in our lifetime and into the future. Therefore, Stats SA will be one of our key institutional assets on this quest for a better future. This asset Stats SA is a jewel in the crown of the capacity of the state, and its rigor and integrity is globally respected. Stats SA itself has a productive intergenerational mix of experience and institutional memory alongside the energy and innovation that comes with a cohort of statisticians and other professionals who were born and educated in this democratic dispensation. The insights developed by Stats SA are a model of democratic transparency in action. Statistical information is available at all levels of society, including business, government, academia, parliament, civil society, schools, and the public at large, including millions of users around the world who can access our numbers and narratives online. For the richness of South Africa's outputs, we are deeply indebted to the millions of South Africans who trustingly and graciously share their information and time with us so we can have a numerical picture of the nation as it goes about living and working. Honorable members, Stats SA's 2024-2025 work program reflects our drive to deliver statistics that the country needs and can apply to build a better South Africa. A key strategic deliverable of this is the legislative reform. The Statistics Amendment Bill, which was finalized by the 6th administration and passed by the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces in May 2024, it is now awaiting the presidential assent. Stats SA delivered the results of the first digital census to the nation in October 2023. The population census offered us the most important comprehensive set of statistical information to the lowest geographical level. Allow me, Chairperson, to quote the President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa, at the launch of Census 2022, where he said, I quote, "Data from census informs the planning, budgeting, and policy-making work of government at the most fundamental level. Furthermore, one of our priorities in a capable, ethical, developmental state is to ensure that policy-making is evidence-driven," close quote. Stats SA has embarked on a comprehensive dissemination process to inform each province and district of the Census 2022 results. Various thematic reports based on the census data will be released during 2024 to better inform policy and decision making. I encourage all of us to use this data to get to know the needs of our constituencies and to use information to improve the lives of our people. Honorable members, as a country, we are still faced with the triple challenge of poverty, inequality, and unemployment. As policymakers, we need to know and understand the scale, the characteristics, and the root cause of the challenges that face us. To this end, I am pleased to inform the House that Stats SA has completed the data collection phase of the Income and Expenditure Survey that collects data on the poverty situation in the country. The results of the survey will be published in the third quarter of 2024. Under the 2024-2025 work program, Stats SA plans to re-engineer the household survey program through the introduction of a continuous population survey that aims to integrate various household surveys to improve efficiency and effectiveness of data collection. This modular survey will provide lower-level data on specific themes to inform the district development model. Chairperson, I'm also pleased to announce that as part of the Economic Statistics Suite, Stats SA will publish for the first time the official residential property price index for South Africa during 2024-2025. Honorable members, Stats SA has set an ambitious 5-year strategic plan with a long-term horizon and vision of improving lives through data ecosystem. The strategy path is guided by 4 strategic outcomes to elevate statistical development in this country, namely insightful data, which is providing statistical products and outputs that meets the needs of users, that brings deeper insight for informed decisions, creating an agile operating model where business operations are lean, efficient, and flexible in order to remain stable in turbulent times, and creating an interconnected statistical system where people, systems, and technology are interconnected, and lastly, transforming the capability of the organization and the statistics system at large, which is building a workforce that is fit for the future, is critical priority for the organization. The 2024-2025 work program is the final performance plan to deliver on the 5-year strategic plan that was tabled in 2020. The organization has continued to fulfill its mandate mandate for the last four years, despite significant disruptions, including the COVID-19 pandemic, natural disasters, and the tight financial conditions, to name but a few. Honourable members, we need to continue to support Stats SA and ensure it plays a pivotal role in providing statistical economic data that informs decision-making across government and business broadly. Official statistics must remain free from any interference on statistical methods applied to data collection and the content and timing of the releases. Our official statistics must be planned, collected and disseminated without prejudice, fear or favor. Our standing as a nation and as a country is intertwined with the successful and democratic uptake of statistics. I therefore implore this House to become ambassadors of Stats SA's work and to continue to be ardent users of official statistics. We are aware of the budget constraints that all government departments currently face, but we cannot allow it to negatively impact the publication of information crucial to policy and planning. To this end, Stats SA continues to embrace the use of technology in easing both the collection and dissemination of statistics. Over the medium term, the organization will be looking at innovative ways of integrating administrative data into the overall systems of statistics to ensure that the data gap can be filled cost-effectively. The composition of employees' budget allocation remains a challenge. We will continue to engage National Treasury to ensure that and to see how best we can stabilize the funding for the composition of employees. Honourable Chairperson, the Public Finance Management Act, Section 27, compels the Minister to annually table this budget, and it is my honour to deliver vote 14, and the MTF is 2.65 billion in 2024-2025 and 2.7 billion and 2.89 billion in the 2025-26 and 2026-27 financial years, respectively. We request Parliament to support this budget vote for statistics in South Africa. As a country that is fully integrated into the global society, we know that digital forces are transforming our world into the digital economy. This disruption will lead to emerging new technologies such as artificial intelligence with connected devices and smart chatbots to the metaverse, where citizens are connected and interact with government and themselves seamlessly. Harnessing AI to solve South Africa's problems requires embracing it from an African perspective. Disruptions can compel a nation to new levels of efficiency that can change the lives of the poor and the disenfranchised. When such opportunities present themselves, the test to the nation's strength is how the leadership acts and with agility to attend to the challenges at hand. To enable long-term, sustainable and inclusive growth, we must work together as a nation as we strengthen our resilience and propel beyond what is possible on what was possible before, and the use of technology is such. And the use of technology was demonstrated when we delivered and collected data for the census 2022 during the COVID-19 pandemic, and we had to move to the digital census. And that's why it's important that we all embrace the use of technology and make it relevant for our purpose. The importance of numbers to harness leadership's ability to lead in a new era cannot be overstated. It is more important than ever that our thinking, planning, and policy responses be informed by reliable evidence to achieve better outcomes for this nation into a transformed digital era. I want to take this opportunity to thank the Portfolio Committee on Planning, Monitoring, Evaluation, as well as the Select Committee on Health and Social Services, and also want to thank the staff and the leadership of Stats SA under the charge of the Statistician General, Mr. Risenga Maluleke, and the South African Statistics Council, who continue to deliver on the mandate of Stats SA. As I say thank you, let me invite all of us to make continued and greater use of Stats SA's insights to understand and participate in the ever-unfolding story of our country. Ndiariboa, inkomo akenze. Ngiyaleboga.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The next speaker is the Honourable Mgweba.
Thank you very much, House Chair. Minister and the President, Honorable Kumbuzo Chaveni, Deputy Minister, Honorable Kenny Morolong, and Honorable Minister Nongceba Mhlauli, honorable members, SG of South Africa, Mr. Maluleke, the Chairperson of the Statistical Council, distinguished guest. It is the great honor to table the first budget vote for Statistics South Africa in the 7th administration. In processing this budget, we are aware that the last term of the implementation of the medium-term strategic framework for 2019 to 2024 of the 6th administration overlaps with the election year. However, this budget vote provides us with an opportunity to begin to influence the strategic direction of policy development and implementation in the 7th administration. The government needs statistics to govern our country effectively, both for the day-to-day administration and for policy making in the long term. They need statistics to plan and manage the economy and budget cycles, maintaining a balance between revenue and expenditure and ensuring macroeconomic stability. Honorable members, statistical data also have a crucial role to play in resource allocation, in deciding where scarce resources can be best targeted so as to achieve agreed goals and targets. Honorable members, many developing countries have weak statistical system and mechanism for measuring results. Good, reliable statistics are essential for measuring progress in reaching development objectives and provide essential information about the effectiveness of policies and programs. Statistics institutions across the world help governments to improve their policies and to be transparent and accountable about the delivery of development results. Reliable statistics are a key element towards the better measurement, monitoring and management of the results of development. An effective and efficient national statistical system that provides regular and reliable data is an important indicator of good policies and a crucial component of good governance. Achievement of these objectives have instituted a culture of conscious use of statistical data by both the public and private sector for planning and decision processes. Our country should proud itself of having Statistics South Africa that is independent and produce reliable, quality and timeless results for the nation and international institutions. Honorable members, reliable and credible statistics describe the reality of people's everyday lives. The role of the statistics in planning policies and budgeting across all three spheres of government is crucial for the development purposes. As the committee in the 7th administration were pleased that the 6th Parliament has managed to conclude the Statistics Amendments Bill aimed at driving the statistical coordination in the country. The bill has been referred to the Office of the President for the President to assent it into the law. We are pleased that the Stats SA established an interconnected statistical system that aims to improve efficiency, accountability, and accessibility of all forms of statistics across government. We fully support the establishment of interconnected statistical system for purposes of a better coordination of various statistics produced in the country, such as crime statistics. In 2022, Stat SA embarked on a countrywide census project. In October 2023, the Stats General released the 2022 census results. We are therefore pleased that in this financial year, Stats SA will disseminate the results to the district municipalities to inform planning policies and budget based on evidence-based statistics for developmental purposes. Without Stats SA being well-funded, we are risking maintaining the credibility, reliability, and quality stats for the country. Over the past years, Stats SA was unable to retain highly well-experienced skilled staff who are leaving due to budgetary constraints, hindering the ability of the department to sustain production of quality statistics. We have made the recommendation to the Standing Committee on Appropriation to consider providing additional funds to the Stats SA in order to avoid overspending on the compensation of employees. The ANC support budget vote 14 of Stats SA. Thank you, House Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Christie, who is delivering a maiden speech.
Thank you, Honourable House Chairperson. And I understand that because it's my maiden speech, you're not going to interject and you're going to be kind to me. Neither. Honourable House Chairperson, as we enter the 7th Parliament, we have got to get our country working. We need to get South Africa functioning and working for everyone, from the poorest hungry child to the unemployed 20-year-old to the oldest pensioner. We need to get our country functioning for everyone to create a growing and sustainable, inclusive economy where jobs are being created daily. Unemployment was at about 25% a decade ago. It is currently 32%. 1 in 3 people who want to work cannot find work. This is a crisis. This is unsustainable. Our state institutions need to be functioning at their very best capacity to get South Africa working. We need to be able to support our decision makers, both in government and in business, with the information required to adapt, adjust, survive, and thrive. The more current and accurate the data is, the more agile and responsive our executive can be to make evidence-based decisions. Stats SA releases vital information on people, living conditions, the economy, and the environment. One of the most crucial statistics they produce is quarterly GDP figures, our gross domestic product. This is the total monetary value of all goods and services produced over the last 3 months. If we, as a government of national unity, are going to fulfill the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we need to know where we are on the indicators measuring our growth and progress. Since 2011, our economy has consistently been growing at far below our NDP targets, currently at less than 1% per annum. And the tax revenue generated by our lackluster growth has been insufficient to fund our state institutions. Our constrained budget has directly impacted Stats SA, which has, for example, been unable to release statistics on poverty levels since 2015. Data is only being released later this year. Nearly 700 critical posts remain unfilled, and these positions are not funded. The vacancy rate of 19% threatens the effectiveness of this indispensable institution, and their funding has increased at a rate below the Consumer Price Index. It is clear that we are in crisis as a nation, with unsustainable levels of unemployment and crime, failing logistics infrastructure, our railways and ports, and low business confidence. Operation Vulindlela has demonstrated that business and government can work together to solve our issues, and they've made considerable progress in resolving our energy crisis. We need Stats SA to be operating optimally, fully capacitated and supported, in order to have the facts and figures at hand for our executive to make the hard choices. Stats SA leadership also needs to do their part, finding innovative ways to cut costs and refigure their business operating model. And we need to do our part to find a way to finance and capacitate Stats SA fully. Let us take this seriously, or in the long run, we might be releasing GDP and labour market statistics once every 4 years instead of 4 times a year. The budget of Stats SA for the coming financial year is 2.6 billion rand. They need another 177 million rand to fill their staff vacancies and cover additional operating expenses. May we consider an amendment to their budget, because their success will be our success. And as I said, we are in this for the poorest child, the unemployed youth, and the oldest pensioner. A final note, while we recognise that Stats SA is underfunded, given current fiscal conditions, if you get more, you need to account for it. And as the Portfolio Committee, we will ensure that the DPME monitors and does its job of oversight to ensure that Stats SA makes the most of every single rand and operates with integrity and independence. We appeal to Stats SA to focus on frontline services to gain access to the most rural and remote areas. And lastly, as our Honourable Minister in the Presidency mentioned, we are now in the 4th Industrial Revolution. So let's transition to digital means. We can save costs and manage with our limited staff using digital platforms like WhatsApp. As a ward councillor, just come out of the City of Cape Town Council, WhatsApp is the way to reach our population. This is a cost-effective means for Stats SA to count all our communities, both urban and rural. I thank you. Nkosi.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Is there a speaker from MK?
Bashali Ihlombe Nkandla, Honorable Chair, Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, States SA must be aligned to the National Development Plan. We are 6 years to 2030. The triple objectives of ending poverty, unemployment, and inequality are far from being realized. How does Stats SA become relevant agency for a focused assessment of the priorities of the National Development Plan? Here I want to quote Emil Cabral, the revolutionary of Guinea-Bissau. He says, "Always bear in mind that the people are not fighting for ideas, for the things in anyone's head. They are fighting to win material benefits, to live better and in peace, to see their lives go forward, to guarantee the future of their children." Close quotes. We are dealing with concrete needs of people, not just cold numbers. The NDP sets, amongst others, these priorities: a capable developmental state. Now, we can see this state has not been developed to this level, as we see our people dying from floods and fires on an annual basis, not far from Parliament, just around here. Our people live in hokkies, subhuman existence. A hockey is a place where you keep an animal. Here, black people live in hokkies, but we're supposed to be living in a plan to humanize our people. This is 30 years after democracy. One of the other objectives of the NDP was to end the racist spatial settlement patterns. Now our government is building houses far away from the cities, reproducing the apartheid spatial settlement, often building houses worse than the apartheid mixed box houses. Now, this is a democratic state. Now, when the Stats SA assesses the number of houses built, it has to look into the quality of those houses, because we're not just dealing with numbers, we're dealing with people. There was a promise of ending unemployment by 2030. Well, South Africa ranks amongst the highest countries' unemployment. The youth of this country is even in the worst state when it comes to unemployment. This dream is not just deferred, it has turned into a nightmare for our people. Then there was a promise of international peace. We see the South African government prioritizing Palestine. Africa is burning. The Sahel, there is massive terrorist attack. Our people are being moved, are being killed, are being murdered. There's never-ending conflict in the Sudan. We don't see the same amount of intervention from the South African government, because these are black people. These are not Arab people who are close to whiteness. Therefore, they don't matter. Black lives don't matter from this point of view. Yes, absolutely. We get in there. So what do we have in terms of social cohesion is a euphemism to end racism. We are afraid to call it racism. We call it social cohesion, because we don't want to offend South African, the white population. And we see the DA doesn't care really. It calls us dogs and all that. But this government is too cautious to deal with the race question. So we have reconciliation without justice. Stats SA must be more relevant to the urgent developmental needs of the nation, and be purposive in the data gathering to assist in assessing the objectives of the NDP. Umkhonto wesizwe cannot support this budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Honourable Member is a former Member of Parliament, so it was not his maiden speech. He's a returning member. The next speaker is the Honourable Dr. Tembekwayo.
Thank you, Chairperson. We are here as the Economic Freedom Fighters to appreciate from the bottom of our hearts the work that has been done and is continuing to be done by our states SA, because they provide for us a base work for planning that all the departments in South Africa and in the international market needs. You can never be able to plan successfully if you don't have the correct numbers. And it's only the state South Africa that can give us the reliable information. Not only reliable, the rules or principles of the research says you can arrive at reliable information, but as long as you fail under the rule of validity, then those results, if repeated, can always arrive at an information that can be questioned. So I'm proudly saying that the information that is usually produced by States SA are reliable and, most importantly, valid. The States SA mandates to produce, like I said, credible information. If you need to build houses as informal settlement, you always revisit the information that is arrived at through the States SA. You will never go wrong, but you'll always succeed. However, we have witnessed in the past 30 years the deliberate neglect of States SA as such an important body that operates without much needed capacity and, most importantly, financial support. Because there is a plan that the States SA budget will be reduced by 30%. If that happens, how will they be able to function successfully? We can rather top up with 30% to the existing budget. We do not still have a proper understanding of the impact of poverty in South Africa. As such, we need the expertise of States South Africa. We can never do without them. We still do not fully understand the impact of low or no growth in the economy that brings us to the same conclusion that we need the States SA to come on board and provide us with the reliable and valid information that is being tested. We still do not fully understand the impact of unemployment on the lives of the young people, some of whom are unemployed for more than 5 or 10 years or more of their adult life. As such, we would still go back to States SA so that we can have that reliable information that can help us to provide work for those that have been unemployed. We don't know the scale and the impact of gender-based violence simply because States SA budget has been cut to bone. And as I think we have to agree now, as the 7th Parliament, to say there is no 30% cut that is supposed to happen in this department. But we should support, like I said, the top up so that they can be function well. While we understand that the former majority may have deliberately neglected the fund to fund Stats SA, there is no reason why this should continue. This is the start of our new term, the 7th Parliament. And one of the themes of the discussion was the transformation of the Parliament as it may be. I think the first important thing that we need to do for transformation to take place successfully is not to follow business as usual, where we say, no, the budget must cut, no, the budget must... No, we must do things differently so that we are able to be the first Parliament sitting that will do according to what the people want, to deliver services accordingly. There will never be a proper service delivery if there is no funding. There will never be the same service delivery if we keep on making use of the old ways of doing things. So we can transformation. We are rushing on everything that needs to be done. That is a bad start to the 7th Parliament. 7th Parliament means let's take our time, let's read, let's understand, let's get experts to tell us whether we are moving. This rush thing and hush thing must come to an end. We must agree that Stats SA vacancy rate must be, okay, now you are disturbing me. The Statistician General, Mr. Rasinge Maluleka, must be given a clear mandate to go on an organizational redesign and fill all the critical vacant positions in line with international benchmarks of similar institutions.
Honourable Member, your time has expired.
But we do support as little as it may be. Thank you.
Thank you. Order, honourable members. The next speaker is the Honourable Zondo.
Order, sisapota nawe nje. Sisapota sonke la. State SA is a national department accountable to the minister in the presidency. Its mandate, the department is advanced the production, dimension, use and coordination of officials and other statistics to assist the organs of state, businesses, other organizations and public in the planning, monitoring, policies development and decision making. It is quite evident that this department remains one of the most important when concern aiding the government to make systemical decisions based on sound data. Further, this data also provides South Africa with an overview of the government's performance and understanding of the challenges faced by our people. An example would be how clear this department continues to paint the picture of harsh reality faced by our youth when it comes to unemployment, especially the young women in our country. According to the data generated by State SA, young women display hinted vulnerability in the labor market when compared to young men. In 2024, the absorption rate of young men into the job market was 31.9%, outpaced young women whose rate stood at 24.2%. This unemployment rate amongst our young females was estimated at 49.4% in 2024. During the previous administration, the IFP continues to question what the former government has been doing to address this current gender inequality found amongst our youth. The department factually despite the employment challenges faced by our youth, yet the government did not actively work to decrease these statistics. Therefore, we want to urge that the new government to hear our call to prioritize these things that matters and do away with hiding behind the false celebrations of empowerment of women in our country. We dedicate these days and months to celebrate of women, yet the majority of these women find themselves unemployed. This cannot continue to be the status quo. As we have repeatedly stated, the quarrel output issued by this department should not be means to be taken as a rubber stamping activity for this new government to truly address these challenges of youth unemployment. With this disappropriate effect, young women, they need to be treated. This report generated by the State SA as necessary as an agent. The IFP is deeply appreciative of this manner in which we are going to support this vote, but I think we need to also stamp to say that the budget cut should be limited in this State SA so that it will be able to do their work properly and be effective. IFP support and accept this budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Action SA. The Honourable Deputy Minister in the Presidency, the Honourable Mhlawuli, will deliver a maiden speech. Oh, Action SA is participating. Couldn't hear me.
Hard of hearing. Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. I'm hard of hearing, but thank you for the opportunity. I want to start by making reference to the Minister's comments about this budget vote, and also to say that the process hasn't been ideal. It's been compressed because of circumstances. It is what it is. But the Minister said that this is a period of transition between the 6th administration and the 7th administration, and we accept that and accept the fact that the process has not been ideal. The Minister said that the economy is 3 times larger than it was 30 years ago and more inclusive. And so it should be. And it should be much bigger than 3 times bigger. I wouldn't be breastbeating about that. It should have grown much more and be more inclusive. When one considers this budget, we must consider the objectives of the Department of Monitoring and Evaluation. And in their medium-term strategic framework, they outline 3 outcome objectives to achieve growth, security, and prosperity. The first one is to eradicate absolute poverty, where 39% of people are living below the breadline. We have nowhere near come to achieve that. The second one is to reduce unemployment rate to 6%. Yet, in the Eastern Cape, where I come from, it's now 42.3%. Youth unemployment is 70%. The third one is to significantly reduce inequality through a range of policy interventions. These aren't working. Stats SA has 4 strategic outcomes that they focus on. And I agree that Stats SA provides invaluable objective statistics for us to use if we want to use them effectively. Their first objective is to collect insightful data. Well, I don't know how well they do that, because I asked 3 of my colleagues before I came here whether they were counted in the census, and they weren't, and neither was I. We don't know how many illegal immigrants we have in this country. We have absolutely no idea, and we don't even know how many citizens we have in this country. The second objective is agile operating model. Well, I think your agility is compromised by a monolithic bureaucracy, which is your government. And the third objective is interconnected statistical systems. Now, my experience just in the first couple of weeks of the 7th administration, going from one department to the other, is that there is no interconnected statistical system. And the fourth one is transformed capabilities. It's not clear what that means to me. But the problem in this department is that your slogan is business as usual continues. This is the real problem, because the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. The first digital census didn't achieve what it was expected to achieve. In that year, the budget doubled. The following year, it was 3.1 billion rand, and this year, it is 2.6 billion rand. You couldn't achieve the desired outcomes before, and it's unlikely that you will now. This statistical Stats SA is not effective at enumerating South African citizens. There's little evidence of effective collaboration with other departments that collect individual records. And we have ghost workers. So if we can't count people, we can't count ghosts. My fear is that much of this vote's work is outputs and release of statistical reports focused and not at outcomes. Honourable Chairperson, the national indicators should alert us to the malfunction and poor performance of government, and this government is not performing well, and the electoral results speak of that. We cannot support this budget because it is inadequate, and we believe it's also inadequately utilised. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Honourable the Deputy Minister in the Presidency, N.B. Mhlawuli. Maiden speech.
Honourable Chairperson of the session, the Honourable Minister in the Presidency, Ms. Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, the Honourable Deputy Minister in the Presidency, Mr. Kenny Morolong, the Honourable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, as well as members of the Portfolio Committee and members of the House, distinguished guests joining us physically as well as virtually, the Stats SA team as led by the SG, Risenga Maluleke, and all fellow South Africans this afternoon. It is my honour to support the Minister in the Presidency, Ms. Ntshavheni, on presenting the budget vote of Stats SA today. Let me also take this opportunity, honourable members, to congratulate all of you who have been elected to represent the people of South Africa across the political divide for the 7th Parliament, as we work collectively as legislatures as well as the executive for a united and prosperous South Africa. Honourable members, we enter the uncharted waters of a government of national unity, comprising of 7 political parties 30 years into our democratic dispensation. There is absolutely no way that we can speak about 30 years of democracy without speaking about the important role that Stats SA has played over the past 30 years. Our story as Stats SA actually dates as far back as 1996, when Stats SA conducted the first census to quench the data thirst of our nation needed for its establishment and survival, for which we are grateful that we are now 3 decades in the making. When we talk about Stats SA, we are talking about a well-oiled machine, which over the past 30 years continued to inform the nation and will continue to do so in the 7th administration. This is indicative of an institution that is functional, that is independent, and revered as one of the best in the world. Honourable Chairperson, therefore, upholding the independence of Stats SA is of paramount importance. The independence of our National Statistics Office must be protected at all costs so that official statistics remain free from any interference on statistical methods, content, and timing of statistical releases. This is guaranteed in the Statistics Act, Act 6 of 1999, and therefore such independence ensures that our official numbers have integrity and can be trusted at all times. The demand for data and statistics are increasing in all aspects of our lives. Data has become a major resource globally, offering enormous opportunities for citizens, businesses, and governments to make better informed decisions. The world now increasingly relies on data to create new knowledge and insights and to better understand the past, the current, and to predict the future. Stats SA is a critical institution in the life of our developmental state, which is in the making, Honourable Mkhatama. Some of the key products that are used by both the private and public sector include the Consumer Price Index, which is referred to as the CPI, as well as the Gross Domestic Product, which is referred to as the GDP, which are released monthly and quarterly respectively, used by both the public and private sector, as well as ordinary South Africans. Statistics on poverty, inequality, unemployment, and employment that are published by Stats SA equally assist us as policymakers to ensure we address the past imbalances that continue to affect previously disadvantaged, particularly Black women who continue to be the face of poverty today. Therefore, honourable members, we cannot come here and claim that the stats that we release do not affect the manner in which policy is done and as well as the manner in which budgets are allocated. Hence, we are currently in the process of adopting a budget which is actually informed by the products of Stats SA. Honourable members, the year 2024-2025 will be a year when the world operates in a transformed digital space. And to the Honourable Cholib, the vision of Stats SA is not business as usual. The vision is actually improving lives through data ecosystems. And that remains our true lodestar. When all is said and done, honourable members, data and statistics will tell the story whether the lives of our people have been affected by our policy programs and decisions, and that remains our job as legislators. As we propel towards the future, it is our mission to evolve the production, coordination, use of statistics through optimization, partnerships, and innovation. Collaboration between Stats SA and other organs of state and the private sector is therefore critical as we build the data ecosystem of South Africa. This is evidenced by collaboration and partnerships that we have established over the years with key stakeholders such as the South African Revenue Service, the Department of Home Affairs, and our institutions of higher learning, to mention a few. The use and appreciation of official statistics in decision-making has become even more critical in the changing data landscape. Honourable Chairperson, let me come to the operating model of Stats SA. The operating model within Stats SA is being reviewed and adopted to fit the needs of our evolving society. Stats SA will continue to deploy and integrate innovative methodologies that were developed over the past 2 decades in the operating model. More importantly, the investment in technology to modernize the statistics value chain will continue to increase our efficiency. In relation to our strategic priorities, the highest priority of Stats SA is about sustaining and protecting the quality of official statistics and our national indicators. Our National Statistics Agency is committed to continue to deliver its suit to official statistics, even amidst the challenging and declining resource environment. Stats SA has therefore adopted a change agenda with strategic goals. The first one being harnessing alternative data sources to augment official statistics in the future. Number 2, transforming the skill set and investing in new capabilities such as data science and data analytics. 3, creating an agile operating model by modernizing and digitizing the statistical value chain to unearth smarter and more sustainable ways to operate. And lastly, leveraging innovative technologies and methodologies as a building block for an interconnected statistical system for the entire data ecosystem. Stats SA should create change that matters, enabled by technology and sustained through capabilities. Honourable Chairperson, we are very mindful of the projected budget shortfall attributable to the public sector cost of living adjustment increases, which Stats SA has had to absorb. This means that Stats SA's compensation of employees' budget is less than the cost of its filled vacancies, and various other members have already mentioned this point. Stats SA has therefore led to rely on normal staff attrition and retrenchment savings to fund the filling of critical vacancies. Whilst National Treasury acknowledges this very serious challenge, Stats SA will be considering alternative funding models to limit the potential risk it faces and in order to ensure that we maintain the quality of our statistics. As we acknowledge the time of opportunity, let us make sure that we propel ahead. The future requires a culture of innovation, agility, and collective leadership that embraces change and diversity in thought and in practice. Let us give the necessary support to the SG, Mr. Risenga Maluleke, and the entire team of Stats SA. Let us also appreciate the work of the newly appointed South African Statistics Council under the leadership of Nompumelelo and Zimande Mbele that continues to play the role of safeguarding our official statistics. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable. The next speaker will be Honourable Subrethi. Maiden speech.
Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Minister, Honourable Deputy Ministers, Honourable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honourable Members of the Portfolio Committees, the Statistician General and distinguished guests, allow me to greet you in the greeting of peace as a Muslim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Almighty be upon us all. The year 2024 is a symbolic year as it represents 30 years since our democracy, when the democratic breakthrough was achieved after years of colonialism and apartheid. For the past 30 years, our statistics tell us that the government has expanded access to basic services, it has grown the economy, and it has created more jobs. Continuous reports of Stats SA assists our nation in planning its development trajectory. As a country, we also have international obligations to report on the advancements of Sustainable Development Goals and the African Agenda 2063. As a nation, we can be proud, and we must take comfort that we are amongst the nations that have recorded substantive development since 1994. We believe that the entity, Stats SA, is going to higher heights, considering that the Statistics Amendment Bill will position the entity to improve the national statistics system, to improve the quality of data, which enhances policy monitoring and evaluation. Various reports from the Auditor General on the PFMA and the MFMA have highlighted weaknesses in the quality of reported information, which creates weaknesses in oversight and in intervention. The bill before the President begins a new trajectory, enhancing the ability of social partners to do their civic duty and realize the nation's aspirations. Establishing statistical units in state organs will directly improve data capturing, data collection, and the state performance reporting. We need to focus on the key development indicators that depict the reality of progress, the reality of transformation, a reality of hope, and the reality of the challenges which impact on the vulnerable and the marginalized in our societies. Though we are one nation, honorable members, we are not a homogeneous people, and various contexts are critical to factor in policy formulation and the development of strategies to address challenges impacting on our society. We believe that this intervention is a key aspect of our efforts to improve the capability of the state and to intervene and address issues affecting our people, focusing on its various dimensions, be it gender, spatial location, race, class, and other dimensions which help society comprehend its conditions and accordingly respond to create a better life. As the African National Congress, we are of the position that Stats SA should be strengthened going forward, also focusing on some of the strategic priorities that will emanate from the President's State of the Nation address, outlining the key priorities of the 7th administration of the Government of National Unity. Our commitment to the principles enshrined in our Constitution has anchored our democracy for the past 30 years. Working together with social partners, we need to use the statistics provided by our competent national entity. We support its initiatives to modernize the operating model. We believe this will enhance the entity's ability to increase its outputs, thereby enhancing the quality of data usage in our country. The African National Congress, in its manifesto, has committed to monitor the implementation of its manifesto commitments, which represents the aspirations of South Africans. The program of the Government of National Unity will have to be monitored and accounted for on the basis of the outcomes of the policy implementation and the changes in the living conditions of our people. We have made critical observations of the challenges impacting on Stats SA, such as the high vacancy rate at 19.5%. And we have heard that it takes many long years to train a skilled statistician. Therefore, we recommend increased funding for the entity to execute its mandate effectively and to ensure that we preserve this national asset. We have recommended that Stats SA should ensure that an integrated indicator framework, which is a network of various data systems, collaborates and supports the district development model, which is critical for impactful budget allocations at a local level and to harness the budget allocation of various organs of state. Stats SA, we will work with the entity as the ANC to ensure that we use its outputs effectively and that we ensure adequate support is provided to the entity to achieve its mandate. As I conclude, we will work with the entity over the next 5 years to use its outputs to hold the executive accountable and make meaningful policy proposals. In closing, Comrade Honorable House Chair, the ANC supports this budget and looks forward to using the expertise of Stats SA as we plan, monitor, and evaluate the performance of the 7th administration to ensure that we tangibly and meaningfully impact on the lives of people so that we can address the issues facing our people of poverty, unemployment, and equality, and we create a better life for all. Let's do more together. I thank you.
Is the members from NCC here in the House? Honourable members of the NCC? Okay, I will move on. Yeah, we will move on to Honourable Bergman from the DA. Thank you.
The former senior vice president of Google is quoted as saying, "Data is the sword of the 21st century for those who wield it well." For our statistics to be of any relevance to our country, the procedures need to be transparent. The focus group needs to be relevant and encompassing size, and the budget needs to be able to deliver reliable results in a timely manner. The problem is that the cracks of a perfect department begin to show the minute you see that the budget has been cut by a nominal rate of 30%. Part of the explanation was that the higher budget catered for the census. However, when you are looking at the objectives of the committee in terms of automating systems and trying to fill a 19.4 deficit in vacancies, one needs to be concerned at whether we will be able to perform reliable and penetrating surveys and whether one can produce and distribute the results widely enough on an ever-decreasing budget. The statistics and information that are meant to come out of this department should be addressing the vital issues of our country and give our executive a fair reflection on what the current situation in real time in our country is. We support the department for wanting to provide a more continuous flow of data in a more modernized manner. The new legislation with the new definitions was introduced in February 2024. However, we had raised concerns in the previous term that the powers given to Statistics SA and their employees were overreaching in the sense that they had the right to enter and inspect any property at any time. This was a right afforded in the previous bill by it expressly stating other than a private dwelling. The concerns were countered with assurances around the vetting procedures, even though there had been strong examples of robbery and sexual assault in separate instances by census field workers in 2011. The other day in committee, I turned the scenario around and stated that our concern was also for the Statistics SA employees that could face their own dangers, such as trigger-happy homeowners perceiving an immediate and dangerous threat. Which of my two ministers or three deputy ministers will be taking responsibility for the first injury or fatality that takes place because of this careless and unnecessary deletion in the technical clause? Scant comfort is given by the fact that a warrant is required because it disposes of normal court rules and does not provide a person with an opportunity to defend their right to privacy. A loophole has already been exposed, where any person under the auspices of the Statistician General now has a right of entry into any premises, including the home of an individual. This, in my mind, is a blatant disregard for our most basic rights to safety and privacy, and an insult to Chapter 2 of our Constitution. For a department that is focused on the people of South Africa and the living conditions, economy, and a natural environment, one would feel better if they used the Constitution as the cornerstone and the people of South Africa as their beneficiaries, by showing them empathy and an understanding of the stats that they produce and why they need to protect the rights of their field workers and residents alike. The Democratic Alliance believes in the importance of this department and will do everything to ensure that oversight is effective and productive in helping this department achieve their objectives. Let us start with reliability, efficiency, and relevance, and let the benefits be seen by utilization of the data in the various ministries and the private sector. Only then will we be able to give this department a gold star in practice and not what it is on paper. I thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we are calling on ANC Honourable Hassan, maiden speech.
Thank you very much to the Chair, of course, our Honourable Minister and Deputy Ministers, Honourable Members of the House, the Statistician General, our invited guests, but of course, the most important stakeholder, the people of South Africa. Chairperson, on this very day, the 11th of July, 61 years ago, the brutal apartheid regime arrested the High Command of Umkhonto weSizwe, the real Umkhonto weSizwe. The events of this day triggered a domino effect that changed not only the history of South Africa, but also the history of the world. And where we come from and what has been sacrificed must always serve as a reminder and the foundation of where we must go. As long as my time is for, it is my maiden speech.
It's a point of order. Yeah, point of order. Yes.
Chair, can I sit down? Thank you, Chair. I will sit down.
Take a seat, thank you. I recognize the honourable member.
Pictures and videos here, and it's not allowed. Can you please rule on that? She's the second one. She's the first one. They've been taking videos and pictures here. Can you please rule on that one?
Okay, could I? Okay, could I just rule on this and just say, can we ask order, please? Order, please. Can I just bring order? Can I make a ruling on this? Honourable member, please. Can I have order? Thank you. Could I rule on this? This is already a standing rule within the committee. No videos or pictures are allowed to be taken in the House. Please, can all honourable members recognize this and refrain from taking videos? Thank you very much.
Point of order.
All members in this committee to order. I'm calling all members in this committee to order, not just one or the other group. Can everybody hear me? Is that fine? Are these more points of order? Yes. Okay, I'll recognize this honourable member, then I'll recognize you on points of order. Thank you.
Chairperson, the standing rule is that a maiden speech does not get disrupted. A member indicates the videos have been taken. He could have interrupted when other members who are not, he could have called for that order, which is important for that matter.
A maiden speech can't be interrupted.
Can I give guidance on this?
Can I finish my order?
But I'm giving guidance on this because, thank you. The guidance on this is that that particular is a convention, is not a rule. That is what the rules of Parliament says. It's something that Parliament does to give someone honor, right? But that's fine. I'm speaking as the chair. So can I continue speaking, honourable members? Thank you. So the ruling on this is nobody shall take videos or photos while we are busy. All members, all parties, and those who are attending on behalf of anybody, nobody can, right? Can we continue with the maiden speech? Okay, hold on, member. I see one more point of order. One more point of order, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. It's on a different point of order, Chair, and I want you to check the answer. The member made a statement, the real MK. MKP have been declared a political party and is the real opposition of South Africa currently. So we can't have a member making a statement that the MK that is currently within Parliament is not a political party. So please check answer and then she must withdraw that. Thank you very much.
What I'd like to say is, can I please order? Thank you very much. Order, 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 order. Thank you very much. Comrades, can I ask you to be quiet now, please? Thank you. So, that is not an official point of order. Let me just rule on that first, okay? Let me rule on that first. That is not an official point of order, that's a comment, okay? And so can comrades and leaders and honorable members please do what is in the rule book? And if you have a point of order, make sure it falls within the point of order rules for the committee. Thank you. Is this a point of order, Honourable Minister?
We want to make a request that given that the convention of maiden speech was disrupted, can we have a minute reinstated from the beginning so that she can start from the beginning? Thank you.
What we'll do is we'll continue from where we left off. Okay, we'll continue where we left off. Yeah. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. You may continue.
No, thank you, Chair. I know, unfortunately...
Please, can we have silence in the House?
And that we do, in fact, come from a very rich history of the liberation movement in this country, and we will never, ever be apologetic for that same history that liberated South Africa. We have a statistician general that provides critical data for all facets of society, and it is yet another victory and fruit of our freedom. And in fact, every single political party who debated today echoed the necessity, the validity and the credibility of Stats South Africa. And that has highlighted how crucial it is for us to today support this particular budget. Stats and its associated data are the core of planning. And they're not just numbers, we agree with you members, they're not just percentages. They are deeply powerful and they tell us the stories of our people. One might even say it's poetic. The data tells us what we do not know in its most crude form, but can also act as a detailed signpost on how we should allocate resources to meet the socioeconomic, financial, environmental and needs of the masses of our people. In fact, the hopes, the dreams, the aspirations of the millions of South Africans will not be met unless we have the relevant data provided by Stats SA, and ultimately by having the budget before us today. Chair, there's been a number of false narratives that must be corrected today, and they will be. The first is around placing scientific evidence at the center of policy formation and development planning, which the ANC has been very clear and fundamental in doing. We have transformed our society in a continuum, and that has required that same scientific process I spoke to. This particular entity is located in the presidency, and it's due to the strategic role that it plays that informs the very basis of that policy monitoring and evaluation. The African National Congress has always informed its theory and practice on the basis of evidence. And as members of parliament, the statistical outputs of this entity assist us to focus on those outcomes and impact of our policies. The evidence-based research and policy making is at the core of successful, implementable and practical decision making. The reports, over 250 of them on a yearly basis, that's published by Stats SA, provide that critical information for academia, researchers, businesses, government and people alike. And the NDP, it's been mentioned a few times today, is a product of considering this various statistical data which reflects on the material conditions of society. The vision of the ANC and the continuous monitoring of key elements of the NDP are enhanced by the work of this entity and provides us with an objective reality. In terms of its use and accessibility, it must be increased in terms of its outputs in the public service, private sector and civil society. We must increase public knowledge as a critical area that needs to be enhanced. Statistics do not only benefit institutions and those with high literacies, but should be accessible to all citizens as they report on matters that impact the whole of society. In terms of the modernization process that Stats SA has embarked upon, it represents an important step forward and illustrates the ability of the public sector to evolve and provide a heightened level of support and ultimately delivery of services. The modernization process also has the ability to deal with the issue of unfunded vacancies and the issues of lack of skills of opportunities. And in fact, this particular modernization is not business as usual. How can there be a complete overhaul and evolution and then it be business as usual? The impact also of technological innovation, such as AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning, on data collection, processing and distribution will increase not only the distribution of statistical data by students, researchers and the likes, but it will also be able to implement and open up a space for AI from an African perspective. And the Minister and Deputy Minister spoke to that as well. Digital technology is another growing sector with multiple social and economic implications. The increase in access to that information has a number of implications. It enhances the development and also can negatively impact society through the bias of AI algorithms, which also need to be decolonized and can often be discriminative. We also face cybersecurity threats and other harmful practices. And in fact, Stats SA has a major role to play in equipping all societies with the requisite knowledge to plan and circumvent. The introduction of these tools in modernization also has benefits in terms of cost saving and efficiency, which of course is always welcomed in the current economic environment. The modernization, however, cannot come at the cost of human beings and livelihoods. Reskilling and the support must be at the center of this particular approach. We must reinvest in human resources and experience to ensure that it remains in the organization. And this is also an opportunity for young people with the requisite skills to be brought in to close those gaps and begin the succession planning process. Youth unemployment remains a crisis that must be attacked from all angles, 365 days of the year. Chair, I'm going to deal very quickly with the capacity and funding matter. Stats SA continues to play a critical role, and we must support it. Number one, in terms of its independence, and number two, in terms of its capacity. As the ANC, we fully support the recommendation of the committee to advance the proposal in the Appropriations Committee that the budget be increased. And this is a critical component in advancing the capable developmental state. Furthermore, we're going to champion and drive through the new recently amendment bill which will be assented by the President. The Minister herself has acknowledged the challenge faced in the budget regarding the compensation of employees and the vacancy rate and is committed to working hand in glove in order for us to see it through. We must also, Madam Chair, we must also, Chairperson, commend the ANC-led government for the consistent support for the independence and credibility of Stats SA. And we are not running away from the challenges of our country. In fact, honourable members in this House, you only know the issues that you have faced and put forward because of the same independence of the Stats SA that the ANC-led government has fought for and has ensured has been in practice. Stats SA must be used towards MKP here to equip us as Parliament and the Executive and as activists, Honourable Nklitama, to deal with the same dehumanizing conditions you've spoken to. In fact, we wouldn't know how many houses to build, where to build them, how to use innovative material without the very same Stats SA of the budget that you have rejected. The same numbers that all oppositions have been using wouldn't be here. The NDP is our
Honourable
broad
Member,
North
your time
Star.
has expired. Thank you very much.
The ANC supports this budget and will look forward
Thank
to
you, Honourable
further
Member.
the independence
Time has expired.
and the
Thank you very
capabilities
much.
of Stats SA. Thank
Please be seated. Thank you. Honourable members, before we call up the Honourable Minister, I just want to read from the House rules. It says a reflection on a political party is not out of order as long as a member does not cast aspersions on the character of a member of this House. So for future, that is the rules. So I would like to call up the Honourable Minister in the Presidency. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable House Chair, for the opportunity. Thank you to all the political parties that have supported the budget of Statistics South Africa, and also those parties that have committed to work with us through the relevant committees of Parliament, the Finance Committee and the Appropriations Committee, to ensure that at a minimum the budget of Statistics South Africa does not get cut, but at a maximum that we have an increase in the budget of Statistics South Africa. we want to support Honorable Trolip on the fact that indeed the process has been compressed, and it's because of the legislation. The PFMA requires that the budgets are approved, of departments are approved within 4 months of the national budget having been tabled. The national budget was tabled in February. It will mean the 31st of July is the cutoff for the House to adopt the budgets of various departments. But it shows that you have not been a member of the House. That's why you don't know that part of detail. That's why you also confuse the members. That's why you have also confused that Stats SA reports to Stats SA reports to the Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. It reports to the Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation Portfolio Committee, but it reports to the Presidency in terms of the ministry that is accountable for. So the targets and the vision and the managings.
Could I just interrupt the speaker for a second? Thank you. Take a seat. Honourable members, could we allow our speakers to speak? There's too many interjections, and we cannot hear, and it's not doing the House a service. So, yes, I understand you have problems with it, but can we, no, it's fine, but can I say, if you have a problem, bring a point of order and not just heckle, okay? We're not just here to heckle. Let us have the decorum of the House so that we can listen to what he said and respond with the informed response. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Speaker. You can speak further.
Thank you, Chairperson. And I also want to clarify, Honourable Christie, in terms of allegations against, let's say, enumerators. But it is a pity in South Africa where we want to prevent access to properties by enumerators on the basis of the color of their skin. If we want to recall, in 2020 and 2021, when the census 2022 was being undertaken, the enumerators were refused access to properties here in the Western Cape based on the color of their skin. In a country where we are 30 years into our freedom and democracy, it cannot be the color of the skin that determines access, and also doubt the aspersions of our people and the honesty of our people based on the color of the skin. Equally, the allegation that enumerators have raped people are unfounded, because enumerators have worked with communities and social leaders to make sure that they have got access. If those things happened, you must show us the cases that were opened against them. In actual fact, it is enumerators who have set dogs against them, who were attacked just because of the color of their skin. Because in this country, there are people who want to think that black life does not matter, black life does not count. But we are 30 years into our democracy. There will never be social cohesion if all of us do not treat each other as equal people, if all of us do not give each other the benefit of doubt that we are good, and then judge us on the act and conduct of our behavior. And having dealt with that, it is important that as we acknowledge the challenges that face us and the value that Statistics South Africa and the statistics give us will do. Part of the work and the discussion we've been having, myself with the Statistician General, is to say, how do we then define this the high unemployed rate of youth? It's not a problem. It's not fact that the employment rate in South Africa is doubled. It is fact. It has doubled. But more people in this country remain unemployed. And in that unemployed category, it's young people who have gone to school, who cannot use their qualification for the employment or to create employment for themselves. In particular, our people have not also been following what has been happening. Despite the publication by the Department of Higher Education on the institution of higher learning or bogus institution of higher learning, parents continue to allow their children to register in institutions of higher learning for bogus qualifications that cannot be used for employment. But also, as parents, we don't take responsibility of the choices that our children go and choose when they go to school. We want them to just have a degree, and we say they have a degree or they've got a qualification, not looking at what is required in the market. I once said, what is the purpose of studying office administration and office management when my office has become on my cell phone or on the palm of my hand using technology? And therefore, as we need to then go onto a social conscientization of our young people and also parents, not to remain distant to our responsibility to make sure those we train are trained relevant to the market, but also challenge the department or the institutions of higher learning to ensure what the curricula and supporting the not only the fees must fall, but the decolonization of education in South Africa. We must support that institution of higher learning must train for the economy of South Africa. That a university is no more special than a TVET college, because the TVET college gives our children vocational education. And that's the message we need to preach, not only to our children, but also to learn and promote that. And also the Department of Higher Education must work on career pathing that will allow vocational education to not to be subservient to theoretical education. As we speak, let me also deal with the issues that were raised by Honorable Mqitama, and at least we agreed, Honorable Mqitama, that the National Development Plan remains the ultimate vision of the country. And that's why for this 7th administration and the 7th Parliament, it's important to hold government accountable to deliver on the goals of the NDP. We are left with 6 years to the Vision 2030 to attaining that goal. So the extent at which this Parliament will push government to deliver on that mandate will be critical, so that we can deliver collectively deliver on that Vision 2030. But I want to dispel the notions that you have said that South Africa prioritizes Palestine, and in fact, Madiba has said South Africa will never be free until the people of Palestine are free. But it's not true that South Africa is not involved in peace initiatives in the African continent. We continue to lose lives of our young children in the DRC because we want to make sure that that country is stable. That country which holds the highest mineral resources and the greatest potential in this African continent can stop being a basket case, but become a food basket and an economic basket of this continent. South Africa continues to be a guarantor of the peace in the South Sudan, and even earlier this year we were there to ensure that there is peace in South Sudan and find mechanisms to make sure that that peace stabilizes. South Africa continues to be involved with the parties, the warring factions in Sudan, to make sure that they can find each other, because the Sudan as a whole, whether South and Sudan on its own, remain the greatest contributors to the development of this continent. We were, when Ethiopia was about to shrink on the brink, we were the guarantors which provided a platform for the Ethiopian negotiators led by former President Uhuru Kenyatta of Kenya, make sure they can find each other and sign an agreement. Because South Africa takes our responsibility not only in SADC but within the entire continent seriously, because South Africa will never be free and prosperous unless Africa is free and prosperous. And by the way, we hosted...
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Your time has expired. Sorry for that. Thank you very much.
Western Sahara, we hosted the state visit last year.
Honourable members, thank you for attending this afternoon. Members are reminded that the two debates are scheduled simultaneously for 4:30 today. The International Relations and Cooperation Budget Vote debate will be held in the Good Hope Chamber, while the Mineral Resources and Energy Budget Vote debate will take place in the committee room M46, which is this one. That concludes the debate and the business of this mini plenary session. The mini plenary will now arise.
Up.